So we're extremely broad in how we look at things. And in terms of how we operate, we're kind of broad, but I would say we're primarily Series A and B stage investors. So I love the early deals. I love figuring out problems and figuring out solutions for them and seeing how the rest of the market will develop in 5, 10 years and kind of making predictions for the future. So that's how I would really position a lot of our investment thinking around how we make new investments, but particularly this is how I think through investments. My thinking around investments I don't think applies to everyone, but certainly how I view the world and how I operate.
Appreciate that. There's so much that applies. This is my humble 2 cents. There's so much that applies to traditional automotive. I just think there's so much to be learned, and it's not talked about enough. I mean, there's certainly innovators like BMW that is saying, okay, like we're going to apply proven theses, proven approaches to generating return on investment to the space to get access to technology, to maintain, grow our position within the market. But I think there's just so much of that venture capital thinking that can be applied to traditional tier one auto suppliers, OEMs, outside of even having a venture capital arm. Like that's a whole nother discussion, right? But I just think there's so much like, okay, like what commodities should we play in? What business should we be in? I mean, there's a lot of like hardware as a service and things like that. It's not just shipping parts or shipping, vehicles, right? But there's just so much to what you just said. I think that if you're at an automotive tier one or supplier, for that matter, that you can really learn from what I think you just said there.
Yeah, wherever you are in the supply chain, if you're not thinking about innovation, you're going to be lost in the wave of companies that are investing heavily in innovation. So my thinking is you got to continue to be ahead of the curve if you're a supply chain guy or manufacturer that's not thinking hard and implementing things like automation and digitalization across the factory, then good luck. That's probably stuff you should be thinking about, not just now, but probably like 2, 3 years ago. But it's not too late. Go ahead and start innovating now, and especially start thinking about these areas, automation and digitalization, and hopefully working with interesting startups that would enable that new frontier to happen at your corporation.